Coming up this week, I tried to get state fair tickets, but ended up eating a hot dog instead. At least it was free. I land way past the end of the runway in Madrid on purpose, don't worry. And I try to find food in the very, very, very crowded Mercado de San Miguel in Madrid. All right, let's get started. And hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. It is Thursday, August 28th, and I am headed to Madrid, Spain. Be my third time there as a pilot, and we're delayed by an hour already. Not so good. 2 hours ago, we were on time. The plane was coming in from LA and landing here at 2:30. And then for whatever reason, around 2:20, 2:30, they took our plane and were giving us a plane coming in from Rome that's coming in on time. So I have no idea why they took our plane from LA. It is what it is. I have no control over it. So already getting a late start, less than ideal. Now, again, I've been going to Barcelona a lot lately, and I'm looking forward to going back to Madrid. Again, the first time I was there, we were so delayed, I didn't do anything. Um, Second time I was there, I did go out with the crew quite a bit. This time, we'll see. Um, Again, the captain and FO are new to me, so they'll be total strangers. It is a first officer trip, meaning I'll be flying at least one of the legs. I did a, I think I did. I've done two relief pilot trips in August, and I don't want to go out of landing currency more than once a year. So I have at least two FO trips this month to get two landings in. I need three landings every 90 days to stay current. But let's head to the airport. I'm going to have lots of extra time because we are delayed by an hour. So let's head to the airport and see what I can get done in my downtime. I might stop by Terminal C. They're selling tickets to the state fair for discounts for the employees. And my family goes to the state fair in Texas every single year. And it used to be inexpensive or okay for family afford to go to a state fair. Last year, it got stupid expensive, and this year it's even more expensive. They're really pricing people out. It's very annoying. So it is nice that my airline, not my airline directly, but one of the employee groups works for the state fair to sell discount tickets to the employees. So I'm gonna see if I can stop by there and get some discount tickets in my downtime. Otherwise, I will mull around the airport for about an hour since we're delayed by an hour. 'Cause the plane won't be in until 3:44. We're leaving at 5:35. It's coming in from Rome. Long flights. It'll take an hour to get the plane ready for us. But we don't have access to the plane until 4:40, 4:30 anyway. The Terminal D South bus arrived, hopped on board, head over to the terminal. Back in college, I used to drive a school bus. I drove a Thomas Built bus, I believe it was. It was a flat nose bus. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning, and I get to the bus barn at 5 a.m. I would do two runs, elementary and junior high. Then I park the bus at my college campus in the commuter lot, go to a full day of classes, and then I'd run two afternoon runs. I'd be done like 5 in the afternoon. And I was a fraternity guy. Like I was pretty busy, but somehow still responsible. Anyways, cleared KCM, headed inside. Again, I'm the FO, but there's nowhere to go right now because of the delay. So I headed over to Terminal C. They were selling discount state fair Texas tickets, and they had a get together for all the employees of the airline. And they're offering free hot dogs and like I guess free lunch from Portillo's. So you know what? I'm delayed. Why not? Now they had a lot of food. They had hot dogs. I think they had a lasagna maybe and hamburgers. I wasn't starving, so I just got a hot dog. It was a Chicago style hot dogs I really wanted. But I enjoyed my hot dog. Had lots of time left. They were out of state fair tickets, so I went to the employee store. Now this employee store can be visited by anyone at the airport. It's by like gate C2 or C4, the very end of C. Tons of airline memorabilia in there. Of course, from the hometown airline, but lots of historical airlines that don't even exist anymore. And anyone can come in here and shop. So if you have a sit at the airport, small delay, big delay, you can come in here and buy anything you see in this video, you can buy as a regular person. Again, most of it is for the hometown airline because it's their hometown airline, but they have lots of other stuff, lots of general airline stuff. I did pick up a new hat, a 777 hat, because I don't have one and I'm an old man, and I wear the hat and I fly around because people should know that, gosh darn it, I fly a 777. Anyways, I finished shopping and decided to walk over to Terminal D because why not? We're delayed and I have time. And the delay got worse. They did steal our airplane, but then of course weather moved in because of course it did. So it looks nice right now, but a storm was moving in, and yeah, it wasn't pretty. In the end, we're supposed to leave here at 4:35. We didn't block out until 7:21. It was weather, and then there were some very minor issues with the airplane, like light bulbs that had to be addressed. Again, everything on the airplane has to be in working order for every single flight. If it's not in working order, it has to be documented. So even though it's just a minor light bulb, it has to be documented that the airplane, this particular thing, is not working. So it is what it is. It's tedious. It takes time, but it all has to be done correctly. But I did take the leg out to Madrid. Why? Because why not? Now, arriving into the Madrid airspace, we were on the Zamora 5 Charlie arrival. And again, every country and airport has their own naming conventions for their arrivals and their departures. And I'm used to the ones in the United States where the name of the arrival, it happens to be a central point where all the fixes, everyone crosses over that fix. So like the Seaver for arrival in the DFW, no matter, they have all these fingers that you can come in on transitions, but everyone crosses over Seaver. Now for this arrival, it's where you start. So in the US, or at least for Dallas, the name of the arrival happens to be the final fix, so to speak, of the arrival, where all the transitions come into. In this country and actually most parts of the world, the name of the arrival is where you start. So, or on the SID is where you end. Anyways, so we're gonna come over Zamora to start the arrival, and then everything comes together at Fafek. That is the end of the arrival. Now, at the end of the arrival happens to be where the approach for the runways start. Now, the Madrid airport is pretty unique in its design. It is a giant airport. Let me stress how big this airport is. And it looks as though, from what I can see, the runways are designed so that a pilot never has to cross an active runway ever. And they don't mix arrivals and departures on the same piece of pavement. So coming in from the south, what I can see is you will always land on 3-2 left or 3-2 right. You will never land on 3-6 left or 3-6 right. Additionally, the departures will always depart from 3-6 left and 3-6 right. You will never depart from 3-2 left or 3-2 right. And of course, coming in from the north, it's the opposite, where you'll land on the 1-8s and depart on the 1-4s. This does minimize taxi times, so that's very efficient, but it does create for some crazy long walking times, as you will see. Now, being the flying pilot, I got the middle break. So, and again, it's my choice. I can take either the middle break or the last break, and I've done both. Traditionally, whoever's flying takes the middle break, the second break. So it goes relief pilot, flying pilot, pilot monitoring, in that order for the breaks. But this arrival isn't too complicated. It does have some crossing restrictions, and it does have some speed limits. And you have to be mindful of that because the plane knows what to expect, but every now and then ATC will throw you a wrench and have give you a slower speed than what's on the star, or sometimes even a faster speed. And again, pilots, we can adapt to the changing situation. So we either use speed brakes, or if it's a faster speed, we just descend a little faster or add more thrust, whatever the situation may need. This is a 777-200, and many pilots like to land at flaps 25 on a 777-200. It tends, you will use less fuel, less noise because it's less drag, and it can make for a little bit nicer of a landing as well. Now, as far as the landing goes, the runway looks to be really long at 13,084 feet, but it's not really that long. The actual landing distance is much shorter than that. The actual landing distance available is 10,039 feet. There's over a 3,000-foot displaced threshold. That extra 3,000 feet is used if you're taking off on runway 14 right. They can use that for takeoff. Now, why is there a displaced threshold? Many times it's due to terrain that prevents a arrival using that portion of the runway. And in Madrid, you'll see as I come in, as you come in, the terrain is higher on the arrival than it is at the airport, and I suspect that's why there is a displaced threshold. So we have to take that into account when we do our landing distance calculations. Again, it's not an issue. The 777 has phenomenal landing performance. Like it can It can land on pretty short runways, no issue at all. So coming around the corner here, as we get closer to the airport, you can see there's rising terrain underneath the airplane. The radar altimeter comes alive at 2,500 feet above the ground. The brown portion of my PFD that represents the ground, right below that, you'll see the radar altimeter come alive here in a few seconds, indicating the beam is hitting the ground and bouncing back up to the airplane. I'm only descending down to 4,000 feet. The radar altimeter will indicate I'm as low as 1,500 feet above the ground, even at 4,000 feet. The airport elevation is roughly 2,000 feet. So there you can see it's showing me I'm very close to the ground right now, 1,600 feet. It gives the optical illusion as though I'm way too low for the approach. That's why it's very important to cross check the instruments, verify the approach, make sure you're in the right space at the right time. 'Cause again, at 1,500 feet above the ground, I should have the gear down almost and the fully flaps get ready to land. If this was a normal approach with flat terrain. It's not. I mean, it's a normal approach, but it's not flat terrain, obviously. Uh, Getting closer, I am putting up flaps. I'm at flaps 15. I'll soon put the gear down, and I'll begin slowing to my final approach speed. There goes the gear, and you can see the radar altimeter is going up and down as we get closer to the airport. And I suspect this is why we have a displaced threshold. It is due to the rising terrain south of the airport. Ignore that speed brake extended thing. It happened because I hit the wrong button. I'll go ahead and stow it. But you can see in the lower screen there is my before landing checklist. It is making sure that the speed brake is armed, the landing gear is down, and my flaps are at my landing setting. We can land at flaps 25 or 30 in a normal situation. If we're on a single engine, we would land at flaps 20 for reduced drag. Coming in, the glide slope will be coming in here at that final fix. It should be is at 4,000 feet. At that point, I'll be able to get the glide slope because again, this is an ILS, so it is a localizer for the lateral portion and a glide slope for the vertical portion. I've armed the approach mode at the last second. I forgot to hit the button because I am not a professional simmer. I'm doing the best I can. But now it is following the glide slope, the vertical portion down to the runway surface, and the localizer has the lateral portion. Again, you can see that the radar altimeter went up to 1,900 feet. And as we come in, you have to trust your instruments and your eyes and understand what's happening. On a normal runway, I would land at the first third of the runway toward the approach end of the runway, the part you can see closest to me, right? But this runway has a giant displaced threshold, which I am not allowed to land on. I do appreciate the way this airport is designed and that we don't have to cross any active runways and that the takeoff and departures are separated, so there's never mixing of the two. The autopilot is still on, and you can see land 3 on my PFD. That just means the plane is capable of doing a Cat 3 landing with all the information it currently has. But of course, I'm going to land it by myself. And again, this is pretty normal. I'll get under 1,000 feet, and at some point, I'll turn autopilot off. There it goes. Now it says flight director on my PFD, and now I'm hand flying the airplane down to the runway surface. And we're now at one time speed. This is from a different take of the same approach. You can see the arrows on the displaced threshold. That's where I cannot land on the runway. I have to land past the displaced threshold onto the actual runway surface. My goal is to land between 1,500 feet and like 2,000 feet down the runway in a heavy. The big, giant white rectangles, that's 1,000 feet down the runway. That's kind of an aiming point. If I can, I'll put the mains right on the 1,000 foot markings. Coming down, again, slight movement to the yoke. Less is better. It's fly by wire. And I'm on the center line. And then I want to get down right now. So I'm just past 1,000 foot markings, but on center line. Auto brakes 2, they're still active. Again, using the actual brake pedals, you'll see the auto brake dial go to disarm, and there'll be an auto brake master caution amber message on the center of the screen. I did not use any reverse thrust on this particular landing on the sim. I was in idle reverse in the real plane. Idle reverse would have been fine. I just haven't programmed it into my new honeycomb yoke yet, so there's that. But between 60 and 80 knots, I'll ask the captain if he's ready for the aircraft, and I'll say, okay, your aircraft. I'll hand the aircraft over to the captain. At my airline, the captain always steers on the ground. Why? Because that is the way the airline designed it. It's their airplane. They make the rules. Once clear the runway, the captain will give me the okay to raise up the flaps and begin my after landing flow. At the same time, I'm now talking to ATC as I'm now pilot monitoring, not pilot flying anymore. Now, on this flight, we're probably going to get 569. We exited around, I think it was Lima 2, pretty sure. I think we go up Lima 2 to Alpha, up to Echo Bravo 2 to the gate. That makes sense. But no, for whatever reason this day, and done this in the past, we got a full tour of the airport. So we went up Lima 2. I'm pretty sure we went right on Alpha and then north on November.
all the way around the terminal, down south to on Echo Bravo 2 to the gate. It added a few minutes to the flight. It is what it is. I'm sure they have a good reason for us taking this wonderful tour, but we got into the gate and we were done. And I went to the gate and everything shut down. I'm again packing up my side of the aircraft. Again, I wear a pullover in flight because I'm always cold and get all my stuff put away. So again, I don't like things that are black as a flight crew member because they disappear on flight deck. So my iPad stays in a blue cover. My phones are different colors. Again, it's just what I do to avoid leaving stuff behind. I grab my suitcase and head out the door and begin the very long walk from the airplane to the crew bus. Again, this airport is giant, and our terminal is separated from the main terminal by quite a distance. So I recorded the distance between the airplane and the crew bus, just the amount I walked, not including the time, the distance on the train, just how far I walked from the plane. Well, actually, the plane, because I didn't start it till we're actually up in the stairs. You'll see to the crew bus, it was over half a mile of just walking, right? I'm not including any time on the train, which is a pretty long distance in itself. Just the amount we actually had to walk. Again, I'm happy to walk because I've been sitting on down for the most part for the long flight over here. It's this if you are going to visit Madrid, be prepared to walk a lot. Again, they have nice arrows to help us get around the airport. It was in the airport, like leaving the airport and arriving at the airport. Arrows are very important. But eventually we made it outside to the crew bus, hopped on board. Thankfully, it's not a terribly long drive from the airport to the hotel. And now it is time for the debrief.
PM local 5:54 in Dallas. Not exhausted, and I really do think my nap I had yesterday morning between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. helped because again, it was kind of weird, right? But I knew I was going to be up overnight, so I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. Well, my wife woke up at 5 a.m. I kind of rolled around in bed until like 5:30 a.m. Then made the kids breakfast, right? Then got the kids ready for school, yada yada yada. Worked on my video. It was Thursday, and then sent it off to processing and went to bed again around 8:45 in the morning, and slept till almost 11 a.m. Right, and I slept really good because I didn't have coffee, and I said, "All right," I told my brain, "You're going to go to take a nap now." I made the room cold, yada yada yada, and it slept pretty well. So I think that helped me out quite a bit, not being exhausted right now. In fact, I don't think I need a nap, but I'm taking a nap anyway. The flight here was, once we left Dallas, this the maintenance minor such minor maintenance issues, like little bitty light bulbs, like a strip of 10 light bulbs and one was burned out. That had you written up, right? Yeah. Multiple of those. One light bulb out of 20 were burned out. And then the weather. But once the weather was gone, we got out pretty quickly. My takeoff, we're given the heading initially because of the weather, climbed out pretty smooth. We stayed low to 290 for quite a while, and that we were having an issue because we had a lot of fuel on board because we thought we had a longer taxi than we did, and we didn't. So we had to stay at 290 for a while for turbulence, and then so we'll probably stay down here longer for fuel burn. And then we climbed out. We went past Norfolk and climbed up because the ride was better up high. We went up high at 350, and so we had an issue with fuel still. So we had to burn the APU for a while. Like my whole break was, yeah, we turned the APU on for my whole break, and I slept really good in the bunk. I had a second break. Slept really good in the bunk, like 2 hour plus break. I slept for over 2 hours. Never used the restroom, and I was a little bit dehydrated, so yeah, my own fault. And then came back up front and still burned AP for a little while longer. Then we started looking at the fuel numbers, and I showed you a recent video that I posted today about Paris about the step clamps, right? And how if we put in zero step clamp, it shows us what the fuel would be for the whole flight. Yeah. Anyway, but also that MCD, the FMS, does not take into account the APU being burned. There's like a 600-pound discrepancy between what the fuel tanks had and what the FMS was showing because of the APU burn. So yada yada yada. We turned APU off, and then we passed some weather, and then we went down to 310, and that fixed the issue. Coming in here, mostly okay. There are some threats coming in here. One, long flight. Two, giant displace threshold, like really long displace threshold. Three, high terrain. Well, high elevation anyway. Um, but I made a very good landing. It did, coming around on the arrival, it was a little bit difficult to slow down and go down, and I was, you know, managing my speed well. But I made a good landing. Like even multiple flight attendants said I made a very good landing. Then we got the weird taxi all the way around the terminal. Then our gate agents were there for like 5 minutes waiting for gate agents to come open the door. And then of course the long point something mile, 0.43 mile, not half mile is not very long, but it's long for the airport. Plus the long train ride to get to the van. But here in the hotel now, I'm gonna take a nap and then wake up and see what I do. So yeah, good times. All right.
So, after about a 2 hour nap, I set out to explore Madrid again. I set an alarm for about 2 hours on my Apple Watch. It's the best way to wake me wake up. It's this nice vibration. And went out and about. It was a beautiful day in Madrid. Shorts and a shirt were appropriate. Head down to the metro station. I did need to buy a metro card. Last time I was here, I think the other FO used his credits to get us on the train. I never actually ridden the train in Madrid till now. So I just bought a 10 use metro card because I figured I'm gonna ride it at least twice today, and I'm probably coming back here soon. That's a little bit of subtle foreshadowing for a future trip that went sideways. But 10 value card, I'm gonna be coming here at least 5 times again over the next year. So card procured, head on to the metro. It wasn't too packed. My first stop was gonna be lunch, so I was headed to the Santo Domingo stop. I could get off at Plaza del Sol, not a big of an issue, so I got off at Santo Domingo. Anyway, uh, this part I love. Again, every time I go to a new city, going up the stairs and seeing the city for the first time, it gets me every single time. Can I ask for better weather? I was headed to the Mercado de San Miguel. I've been here with the previous crew on a previous trip. Nice place to go. This is a large, pretty bit of good sized indoor shopping area with a lot of restaurants and bars. You can get a lot of tapas, a lot of small plates. It can be very overwhelming if you don't like crowds. I don't like crowds, but I managed. Again, kind of got my other camera out and went inside. Tons of places to eat inside. Again, once inside, you can go to bars, get drinks, or tons of different kinds of food. Is it something in here for everyone, even a picky eater? I would love to have a table to sit down at, but being it by myself, it's kind of hard. I think most people use a scout and a someone to secure a table. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna find something to eat and probably just either walk around and eat it or go outside and eat it. I looked around and I settled on some empanadas. I believe I ordered a Indian curry chicken one and then a traditional spicy beef one. And this two empanadas was fine for me. Again, I found nowhere to sit down and eat inside, so I kind of walked around and ate, and then ended up just by standing by a counter and finishing the empanadas. And then I brought the plate back to the restaurant. And at that point, I wanted something sweet. Again, traditionally I would get churros, but again, I can't eat that much because of the GLP-1 I take, so I had to be very selective and figured I should not have something really filling right now. So I actually passed and didn't get any dessert here at the market. And just a heads up, if you want to use the restroom, you have to show your receipt. I didn't have my receipt, but I was able to show the credit card notification from Capital One on my phone, and I could use the restroom for free in case you're coming here. Anyways, head down the street and past this place called like I think it was like a Casa de Dreams. You can write your dream down on a piece of paper and stick it to the wall. That's kind of neat, kind of like the Love Locks in I think Paris. But I just started walking with no destination in mind, just exploring on my own. Again, I love walkable cities. I wish the US had more walkable cities because again, where I live in Arlington, you can't really walk anywhere. I hate needing a car to go anywhere. I did settle on a smoothie. It wasn't so filling and it was sweet. So, and it was a little bit warm, not hot. But not too far away from there is the Plaza Mayor, which is a giant plaza in Madrid. And I kind of sat down and I was able to listen to lots of tour guides and really good tour guides from what I can tell. But a tour guide got kind of close to me, so I was able to get a free part of their tour. I do have a trip next month, actually in October, that I did head in, so I might be able to have more energy to actually do one of these tours. But anyways, so good news I didn't mention earlier. I found my original wireless microphone I thought I lost at the airport like a month ago. It was in my car, my Equinox. It had, apparently I wore it to the airport, took my seatbelt off, it flew backward, and I'm not doing any kid duty right now as far as the school duty. So no one been in my back seat for a while. and I cleaned my car and found the microphone. So microphone has been restored, and I think this is a better microphone than my other one I bought anyway. Anyways, stuff I didn't mention on the trip here. My relief pilot is former Eagle, my former airline as well. He was hired just before me at Eagle. We had similar experiences. Like we flew the same captains, and it was kind of fun talking about what we used to do, um, and used to have to deal with, and not don't know that anymore. And then one of my flight attendants, I think the most junior one on the trip, who's been here 8 years. She's a pilot. She actually bought her own airplane. She bought a Cherokee 140 and is still in the phase of getting her private. But she bought her own airplane and is using that for training. And she lives up in Idaho, and she's going to fly the plane to California to get her pilot rating because they get DPEs down there easier than in Idaho. So that was kind of a neat discussion. But it's currently 4:32 in the afternoon, and I'm exhausted. Again, it's 4:32 here, 9:32 in Dallas, and I'm tired. But the sun gives me energy, so I am in Plaza Mayor, and I'm just gonna people watch for a little bit and think about where I want to walk to. I did take the metro here. I bought the metro card. I should walk back, but I'm probably not gonna walk back just because I bought a metro card. So there's that. But I got my healthy smoothie. I'm gonna sit here a little bit and then probably spend another hour and a half or so, and then go to the grocery store. I don't know where that is. I know where it is near the hotel, and call it a day. Again, it's a 24-hour overnight. Well, this one's a 23 and a half hour overnight. But again, I'm doing the math. It's 23 and a half hours, but it takes about 2 hours to go from plane to hotel. So it's 21 and a half hours. 2 hours to go from hotel to airplane. So that's 19 and a half hours. After a 2 hour nap, 17 and a half hours. Then 8 hours sleeping, that is 9.5 hours. Then I needed, an hour and a half to get ready. All right, so that's 8 hours. So about 8 hour overnight, 8 hours to explore. It's not really that long. All right. So after people watching for a little bit, I walked through the Plaza Mayor and I walked to Plaza del Sol to go back on the metro to go back to the hotel area. Um, Again, I like this randomly exploring. I know people should say I should go find all these tourist places, but I do what I like to do. Down to the metro station. By this point, at least as I record this, I'm very versed with Madrid because you'll see in future videos. but exited the metro and I went to a very nice grocery store. The first time I tried to come here on my previous trip, I couldn't find it because I'm looking at it on Google Maps and I walked inside and it was a department store. Well, the department stores on the upper levels and down below is the grocery store. Again, very nice grocery store. They don't have papaya. I judge every grocery store by having papaya. I don't care where they are in the world. I know papaya is not common in this part of the world, but darn it, I like my papaya and my dragon fruit. Anyways, they did have some nice fresh fruit, some orange juice, and my basic stuff, my protein drinks I buy. Grabbed what I wanted and headed back to the hotel. And I thought I was done for the day, but I'm like, I'm a little hungry and I am wanting some calamari. So I used Google Maps to find a place that had a nice calamari sandwich. Wasn't too expensive. So I had a calamari and a Pepsi Zero, which was a Coke Zero. And interesting, the guy who's across from me appeared to be on a blind date or waiting for a date because he ordered food and I ate my entire meal and he didn't eat his. And in fact, he asked for it to be warmed up as I left. Felt kind of bad for the guy. But anyways, done for the day. And the next day we had kind of a mid-morning van. So I had my breakfast in the room, I had my pineapple, strawberries, my grapes, and my orange juice. Again, that's what I have for breakfast. And I have this little spoon spork thing that folds up. It's wonderful. Anyways, let's talk about the flight to Dallas.
Okay, good morning. It is 9, it's the 9 o'clock hour local, 2 o'clock hour in Dallas. And good overnight overall. Didn't do a whole lot because I was tired. Got here late. My button's not buttoned. This is not my favorite shirt. Um, it's a backup shirt. Uh, took a nap, went out, yada yada, came back. I was going to work on my next video, but I didn't. Just too tired and zero motivation to do it. It's currently Saturday. Yeah, it's that time. But yeah, Madrid. This is my third trip here as a pilot. The airport's very interesting. Lots of walking. City's very interesting as well. And supposed to come back here again this month. We'll see if I want to come back here again and create out of it. Like do like variety in life. Um, yeah, I'm going to finish packing the room, head downstairs to get some coffee because I'm flying, and versus being the relief pilot. I had my breakfast. I had pineapple, strawberries, grapes, and orange juice. And now I'm going to head out. All right, let's keep going.
Now, I won't bore you with all the super tight details, but we got back in the van, all of us to head to the airport. And again, it's a good drive. It's not too bad this time of the morning. And we get to the airport, and I used to cringe at going from the bus to the gate because even getting to security was so many random turns down unmarked hallways and random doors. They have since fixed this, that they have some signage, but mostly just blue arrows on the ground for us to follow as crew. So I can now, as I record this, because I've been here multiple times, as you'll soon see in a future video, uh, been to the Madrid airport many times. So I can now go from the van to the security office without any assistance. But we again reverse course, got all the way to the gate, and it wasn't bad leaving. It was a very short taxi from our stand to runway 36 left. And there was a little bit of confusion on my part because again, they every airport names stuff differently, and they use the term gateway here versus taxiway. That kind of got me. The relief pilot said, "Hey, it's right there." I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But small delay leaving just because of European whatever TOBT, TOTT, TSAT, blah 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 blah. So we're leaving from gate 583, which is a very short taxi to the runway, like really short. Basically, we go out gate 11. That's the part that confused me, that terminology, and then over to Zulu 1 to depart 36 left. Very short. It's most of an issue for our cabin crew to make sure they have enough time to do the safety briefing. And it's a video, but it has to be done before takeoff in English and in Spanish. Normally, it's not an issue. We push back from the gate, we start the engines, we take our time, and we can hear the PA going on with our headset. We can listen to the PA, see if it's still going on or not. So once the PA is done, we know we're good to go and depart the airport. Now, as far as our departure, our SID, we're doing the Zamora 7 Lima departure. And it, okay, I think it's kind of controversial in my opinion. This shows if you have money, you can get what you want. So we're leaving out of the Zamora. That's on the left hand side of the departure page there. But if you look closer at the SID, the Zamora 7 Lima makes a hard left turn. The other departures, well, except for 6 Lima, they go straight north. I've never gone straight north. No, we take off and make this crazy hard left turn and then back to the right and then to the left to go to Zamora. But why? Why can't we go straight north and then turn left? Well, I think it's money. If you have money, you get what you want. What's straight north? A golf course. It's a golf course. I'm almost positive the reason we make a hard left turn is because of the golf course. Again, it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal making a hard left turn, but for money and for a golf course, I think golf courses are a huge waste of real estate, but blah, blah, blah. I won't get into that. Anyways, we made the very short taxi over to 36 left and had a very quick departure from the airport. Again, as the pilot monitoring on this flight, my eyes are inside on the takeoff roll. So in this case, the captain will move the thrust levers up to about 1.05% EPR, the top engine gauge, to get the engine stabilized. Because again, engines are mechanical devices controlled by computers. So once they both rev up mechanically to about 1.05 EPR, they're both spinning pretty quickly, decently quickly. We will then advance it to takeoff thrust. If we were to go to takeoff thrust right away, one might advance faster than the other. Asymmetric thrust, you can't control it on the ground, and you get to go off-roading off onto the grass, and that means paperwork and news. And again, my motto is no paperwork, no news. As thankfully as almost all takeoffs are, it was a very normal takeoff. Up in the air we went, made the left turn, and then continued on our way, leaving the airport area. Again, flight back, I was the pilot monitoring, so I had the very last break, which comes in handy to a point because I get to get a break right before I get to go home. So when I come home, I'm not so exhausted. But very standard flight, very boring. Again, I like boring trips. That means there's no paperwork or no news. Got to the gate, cleared customs on the crazy employee bus, out to the car, and now for the debrief.
All right, 4:58 p.m. and done. Madrid is different than Barcelona. Different vibe, different airport situation, different everything. I'm sure I already talked to you about going from the hotel to the airplane, how long of a journey that is. Crazy long journey. Crazy long journey. Getting out the gate was annoying. Short taxi. Different terminology, right? You know, every airport has their own peculiarities, including Madrid. And I found it funny on the departure how we climbed out, made a quick left turn. And I was like, why are we making a quick left turn? That's on the golf course. Like, oh yeah, that's why. Money talks. Climbed up, really fat, went back, and then I was up front for the entire crossing of the ocean. Back for my break. I never had my crew meal. That station only does give us these like nice ham sandwich, like pepperoni sandwiches. So I had one of those, but never had an actual crew meal at all. Went back for my break, slept for about an hour and change. Went to the business class seat, watched some YouTube, had some coffee, talked to the flight attendant, and then back up front for the arrival in DFW. We got 1-7 left, is what it is. Long taxi over to the gate and blocked in right on time, so about me 10 minutes over block time. So we blocked out early. We were ready early. And I was supposed to go to Madrid again tomorrow, but I did trade into London instead because I didn't want to go back to Madrid. And it's not my, so. But it was a trip. Nothing too exciting. But I was going to go to Darren to wrap it all up.
And so that was Madrid. It was a trip. And most of my trips are just trips. Nothing crazy or exciting happens. Again, I try to give you guys an accurate picture of what my job entails. I don't ever sensationalize anything or make things more exciting than it has to be. It's just, I tell it like it is, right? So again, we did leave late. We left at 7:21 p.m., partially due to storms, partially due to the minor mechanical issues. Again, it is what it is. And then, of course, we arrived at 11:24 a.m., almost an hour and a half late. I'm sorry, almost 2.5 hours late. There was no need for extending our duty day. We were allowed so many hours to fit this trip in, right? And then if things go sideways, we're allowed to extend our duty day to a point, but that wasn't needed on this particular leg. And we did have a shorter overnight. Now we left 10 minutes early, great, but then we got here 2 minutes late, mostly due to the long taxi in DFW and the different routing. Because, when you buy a ticket to anywhere, a year in advance, 6 months in advance, the airline has no idea what the weather is going to be that day. They have historical data that they can say, okay, at this time of year, between A and B should take this long, but there might be a thunderstorm that day. There might be different routing for ATC, whatever. So they have to just give their best idea of what the flight time should be. Now, on these super long flights, sometimes we have to go further north than we normally do, or further south, and that could change the flight times. So it is what it is. As far as my compensation for the trip, I was paid 20 hours and 36 minutes, a little bit over block time, for a total of $62.73.52 for my hourly wages. My per diem was $185.18. My international pay was $199.43, and my 401k contribution for my airline was $1,066.50. Very good trip. Again, it pays slightly more than a London trip does, and it's not London. On my next two trips, I go to London, and I'm probably going to end up combining these two videos. This would be a weird video, but I had a standard 3-day London. Nothing exciting happened except I went to the Ted Lasso store. So that might just be an addition to the crazy trip where I was supposed to go to London and ended up in Madrid. Yeah, it was interesting. My name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. If you don't mind, please click subscribe, drop a comment, click like. Have a great day. And as always, thank you for stopping by.